Welcome to Not a Real Artist, a podcast by me, Iris Fritschi-Cussens,
and me, Tamara, Sagathevan, discussing relatable creative topics with honesty and humour.
It is time for episode 5. Social media sucks.
Or does it? Join us as we explore the ups and downs of being an artist on social media.
We hope you enjoy the podcast.
You're sitting, you're scrolling, you're double tapping, you're liking, you're sharing. What are you absorbing? Social media sucks. Change my mind, Iris.
Well, I was actually going to start by saying I love social media. The more honest thing to say would be to say that I have a love-hate relationship with it, but at the heart of it, I actually love social media, and I wanted to have a clickbaity title because I want people to listen to this, and I want people to feel like, yeah, they're going to discuss something that I, feel strongly about. But then at the same time, I don't want this to become some kind of ranty episode where we just go like, oh, it sucks, it's bad. I wanted to start out by saying I love social media. And I guess I love, maybe it's a nostalgic view, I have to say. Maybe the view that I have of social media isn't what it is to me now, but it is rose-tinted glasses nostalgic, what it used to be. And also what it can be, maybe the promise of social media. So, and in a way, that is both the beautiful thing about social media, and it is also the death trap that social media is, especially for us as artists, small business people who do things by themselves, just one person, not a team. So what about you? Do you secretly love social media?
No. So you get ready for a rant of your life. No, I do think there are good portions to social media, and I think there's just 2 in my mind, and okay, 3, 4, whatever. But the first thing I think of immediately is community, which is something I would not have if I did not have social media, because I stay alone here. Well, whatever, you know what I mean, right? There's no artists that I actually know physically in Poland. So it's connected me with a lot of cool people, not just you, yourself, and other artists, but also people who want to learn from artists. And I would not have that without social media. So I love that aspect of it. But I don't know if it's just particular to social media. I also feel like we could have met on a blog, which I guess is a form of social media, or we could have emailed each other. So that connection part, it definitely does make easier. I like that, but I find it hard to like the rest. The idea of what it could be, I love that, and It's great. But I also feel like it's kind of like a carrot and stick. I feel like we've been promised so much, and we're hoping for so much, and I just don't feel very hopeful that this golden age of goodness in social media is going to come. Maybe I don't have a lot of faith in people and tech companies. If I can ask you, what is, when you say this golden age, or you didn't say that, I said it, but when you say the hope of what it could be, what are you hoping it could be versus what it is now?
Well, it's more like the promise that companies tend to make to you, as if your target market is out there, the people that you're trying to reach are out there, and this is the platform that's going to help you do that. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You as an artist, as someone with a voice, with something to share, is going to go onto this platform, and you're going to connect to exactly the right people. And that's what it is in theory. And that is what in practice I find very difficult. And that is the thing that makes me go, social media sucks, because it's having this kind of promise or goal in front of you and always falling slightly short of it, and thinking, kind of puzzling to yourself and saying what is it that I'm doing wrong? Why, where are my people? Why is my stuff not being shown? Why does that person get 1,000 likes and 10,000 followers, and why don't I? Partly there are things that I could say that would justify it, and partly it's also a complete mystery to me. And I think it's that uncertainty, and that you never really know what game you're playing. It's that aspect of social media that makes me feel very depressed, and it's that aspect also that makes you keep pouring things into it, keep trying things, keep scrolling or posting or trying to find the right hashtags. I know I'm like pouring a lot of things into this right now, like it's very multifaceted, but like it's that unknown, that like you don't know what the game plan is and how to achieve what you want to achieve, and then it keeps you coming back for more, rather than saying like, oh hey, this isn't working for me, never mind. It's the fact that you feel like you need it, because like you said, when you are by yourself, you don't have necessarily a kind of a community, an offline community around you, then it is pretty much the only way of reaching people that are outside of your immediate vicinity. So it's kind of like it's what is it, a catch-22, isn't it?
Or as my old boss used to say, catch-22 plus 2. I don't know why he used to say that. Please just edit that out.
No, because maybe somebody will like write to us and say like, well, no, I know what that means, and they're going to explain it to me, so or to us, and I will leave it in.
I do want to say, you mentioned YouTube, and that actually made a little spike in my heart, because I love YouTube. So that's social media, and I do like YouTube.
Do you like YouTube as a consumer, or do you like YouTube as a creator, or both? Tell me a bit about that.
Both. And here's why. For me, YouTube was pivotal to my education, which is another thing of social media. The other part is, I don't feel that, so when you're talking about you don't know what to put out and it's unknown, I think, and I really didn't want to say this word, but the algorithm. We're talking about the algorithm and what that wants, and also plus the audience. We can't predict, and nobody has given us the formula, yeah? We just get people who tell us, content creator directors who tell us, oh, do this now, blah, blah, blah. Geez, my brain went too fast for my mouth. So when it comes to YouTube, I feel that everything I do has more longevity than an Instagram post.
Absolutely. Yes, longevity. That's a big thing. Yeah.
So like Instagram, your post exists until somebody scrolls past it. But with YouTube, somebody is forced to engage. They're either forced to listen, forced to watch, or forced to decide, this is a waste of my time. And you don't have to like, and you don't have to comment. But I feel that when somebody does take the time to actually do that, it is so much more meaningful to me as a creator and as a person who consumes, because it takes my time to do that. And if I can, to dear listener, if I can ask you a few questions, and I don't want to ask you directly, Iris, because you could just blow my theory out of the water, but you can answer if you want. Like, what's the last Facebook post you interacted with, or Instagram post? Like, even maybe a YouTube video that you watched. Can you remember how you interacted with it? Or did you just scroll and double tap? And all that stuff, when I'm what am I again? A creator. When I see somebody has either scrolled past or just liked it and not interacted with it, or only 20 people interacted with it, unfortunately, this is not for me personally, it used to be, it either validates me or influences me in some way, shape, or form. But can you imagine that type of unconscious behavior of swiping, scrolling, double tapping is actually guiding you? And when I think about that, and I think about how like the algorithm is based on these things, like, do I really want that shit guiding me when I do stuff? And I feel that YouTube definitely does have an algorithm, obviously, but I feel it's just less easy to just double tap and fuck off. So that's why I like YouTube.
It's also how a person interacts with an app like that. Like, I go to YouTube because, well, there's two reasons that I go to YouTube, or maybe three. The first one is that I have got a question that I need answering. I'm using YouTube as a way of someone explaining something to me. Like, I need to understand, like, how do I do this one particular thing in Premiere Pro? Someone's gonna answer that question for me. I'm probably only going to watch 30 seconds of a 6-minute video. I've got the answer. Thanks, bye. I will hopefully, for that person, remember to press the thumbs up button, but I'm not going to subscribe. I'm not interested in that person. I'm only really interested in having the answer to my question. So that's one way. The second way is I am there because I want to watch videos by people that I've subscribed to. So there are people that I'm interested in, or I'm interested in their content. and I'm going to spend definitely a little bit of time, however long their videos are, crossed with however long of a period of time I have to spend in my life at that point in time to watch YouTube. So that is the main reason that I find myself on YouTube. And then the third reason is if I want to discover new things, like I might have some free time and I'm like, okay, I just want to be inspired, show me some new things, and then I'll browse things where it's like recommended to me, or things that come up in the sidebar when you're watching something that you like. Oh, and I do watch Minecraft videos a lot as well, so like don't judge me for that, but that's kind of a separate category. Like this second category is where I spend most of my time, and I don't know if I'm a typical YouTube user, but I would imagine that most people kind of like me on YouTube would use it in a similar way. You're there and you want to invest some time, whereas however much time we spend scrolling on Instagram, whether in practice that is hours a day, it could be the way that you are doing that is still always kind of like a short-term scrolly thing. You're not going to sit and watch something that takes a long time, that is a time investment, that is an attention investment even. So I do think that the way we interact with these two different social media platforms are actually really different. And I think that also contributes to what you were saying earlier about the longevity of the piece of media that you are putting out there as a creator, because nothing is as soul destroying to me as putting out a piece of content and it just disappears into the ether forever. I mean, sure, it still exists, but I created a really awesome, if I can say so myself, video the other week for Get Messy, for Messy May, and I put a lot of effort into it. It took me about a day to create this video. It was about a 3-minute long video, really dynamic, really well edited, set to music, fun. It did really well, and I was so pleased with how well it did. But now that day had, or like the 2 or 3 days in which it was, being watched and popular and being consumed, it did really well for those 3 days, but now it's kind of disappeared into the ether. I don't think anybody is going to like go back to that and watch it. Whereas on my YouTube channel, I feel like I'm building like a repository of, whatever the content is that I put out there, like art videos that people can go back to, that technique that I taught 6 years ago, or whether I taught it last week, it's still relevant. You can still get something out of it. My vlogs obviously are a bit more like a specific moment in time, but they tell a story over the course of several years if you wanted to go back to it. And, I've done that. Like, I'm a big fan of Bun Roxanne Cobal's vlogs. And when I discovered her vlogs, I went back to like the very first one and watched all of them, because I was like, I need to watch all of them. I need to know about this person. Give me all the Roxanne Cobal content, So yeah, it makes me feel so much more positive about the content I put on YouTube versus the content that I put on Instagram.
So I've got a number of things to say to you, Iris, so strap in.
I'm ready.
The first one is I've got a picture on my phone that I found very quickly. So well done to Tamara. And it's by someone called Inspired to Write. And it's about...
Oh yeah, I love her. She's great.
Okay, so you probably know this one. It's your creations should have a longer lifespan than the 12-ish hours Instagram allows. Reshare your art. Don't be Zuckerfucked into thinking your creations are only valuable when they're new. We want to witness you over and over again. So when it comes to that video you made, which I don't think I saw, and I would love to see it, I hope that you share this again, because your content should have a longer lifespan, and just reshare the shit that you've made, because it's good shit.
Yeah, and I do notice that person that you just mentioned, she reshares her stuff, and I see other people doing it too. And it's like, oh, I never saw that. Oh, I'm so, like, I don't, like when it's an artist that I follow and I'm either interested in their art itself or in their kind of like art lifestyle sharing or whatever. If I have already seen it, I'll scroll past. It's no skin off my nose. If I haven't seen it, I'll be grateful. I'll be like, oh gosh, I never saw that. Or like, I won't even think I'll never saw that, because I'm just seeing it then for the first time. And that's what makes it relevant. It's not like it's got a big sign on it, like going like, this was 12 years ago. It is no longer relevant. It's most likely still relevant.
Again, we need to examine where this came from, that we need to be posting new content all the time, 3 times a day.
Well, it's the algorithm. It's that's the thing that I guess I was alluding to at the start, which is that I both love and hate social media. And the thing that I hate is that the way that the system makes you think you need to act in a certain way. In order to be shown to your people, you need to post in this way at these times, this frequency, with these hashtags, or with this type of content. Don't do this, don't do this, do this, do this. But that is not the like the human aspect of it.
And I'm quite cynical here. I don't know how much of it actually is the algorithm, though, because I always get these mails. The algorithm is changing. And I'm just like, is it really? And maybe it is, but also I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. And I think if we all just behaved differently. So I post when I want, when I don't want, and it's not good for me. I've probably had the same amounts of followers. And when I say not good for me, I mean in terms of metrics, right? Not for me as a human. But it is so much easier for me to do that than to actually think, oh, I'm working now. I need to take a little clip of what I'm doing. And I know it's practice. And if you're running a business, you should probably do it. I know all of that. But sometimes for me as a person, and I think for the type of person I am, it's difficult.
Okay, so I think I have three things that makes me think of. One is, like, as a person, you should always do what works for you. Like, you know, if you cannot post at the right time, then post at the right time for you, because that is the right time. And I'm sure that Inspire to Write would agree with that. If you've posted and if you've done something, that's better than if you haven't done something. Like, don't wait for the perfect moment and then never do it. Just do it when you can. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I think that algorithms are based on real human behavior. So the algorithm, it's not that the algorithm wants to make us into different people. It's the algorithm just follows the lowest hanging fruit. So the algorithm wants to keep you on the app. It wants you to consume more media, because the thing is, you remember that saying, or do you know that saying, like, if you don't pay for something, then you are the product. So when we are on Instagram and we are not paying for this service, or Facebook or whatever, we are the product. So that means that you need to stay longer. That's what they want you to do. You need to scroll more. You need to tap more. So the algorithm is going to serve you the content that is going to make you last longer on the app. And you have to be quite careful what you interact with, therefore, because some stuff is much more easily consumed than what you actually think you are on the app for. So I have to be very careful not to start scrolling and liking cat videos, because before long, my whole Instagram will just be cat reels instead of deep, raw, meaningful art that I am actually on there to see. And then there was a third kind of minor thing, which is what I've discovered is, like, I noticed that Instagram recently shows me a lot of videos, like reels and stuff like that. And I don't like that. I am there for picture still media, because that is what I want to see. I don't want to see moving media particularly. I want to see people's paintings that I can look at and can notice, can spend a little bit of time, you know, looking at. So, and I noticed it kept sending me more videos and stuff. And I was like, I don't like this. So I have found a way to kind of, like, quote unquote, train my personal algorithm of what it serves me. And that is by, I scroll, and then when I see a still post, I will spend some seconds or a bit longer looking at it, and then I will scroll past, and then every time I see a video, I will just scroll past it, not interact with it, not stop on it or anything. And then at a certain point, it understands what I'm doing, and it says, oh, Iris wants to see still posts, and then it starts giving me more of that. But it's you know, it's annoying, because I can tell that the app wants me to consume reels. That's what it wants me to do.
Well, you made a really good point before about how Instagram is actually designed. It's not there for you to spend loads of time on a single post, though I do feel that very thoughtful, well-written captions, I love those on Instagram. I like reading them.
But you're quite unique, probably, in...
I don't think so.
No, but statistically, you are unique. Maybe there's still going to be thousands, probably tens of thousands of people like you who also like reading captions, but statistically, you are unique.
If you're looking for, like, a pickup line, that's something you should use in a bar. Statistically, you're unique. I mean, that would get me going. What I feel that you hit the nail on the head about the type of actual platform it is. But, and also, we see even YouTube having this. It's more like TikTok, yeah. It's all these reels and videos. So as much as I agree with the idea of the platform, it is now changing to, and yes, you can train your algorithm, and I do believe that what you say is right, but I do believe not all of us have that consciousness and awareness when we're in scrolling mode
Oh yeah.
to actually decide, oh my god, I'm not going to watch this fifth reel of a puppy. That's my thing, puppies, and videos about Palestine for some reason. So that's that part there, like really like gets my goat. That I don't have TikTok. I every time I get TikTok for something, I uninstall it because I cannot trust myself. But Instagram and YouTube has the same effect now with these shorts. And when you say like the algorithm is not designed to like be our enemy, or what, or however you said it, and I'm gonna just let me put my tinfoil hat on. Give me a second. I feel that you're right, but it's still designed by humans. And that means, I don't know if you've ever read this book, 10 Arguments or 10 Reasons, whatever, to delete your social media. And it's from a guy that worked or works in Silicon Valley. And he explains how they're designed for to basically get you addicted. And I think things like these just naturally upset me as a person, the type of beliefs I have. And that's why I feel, yes, the algorithm is not bad, but it was designed to, as you said, keep me on there as long as possible. And I don't see or think or know how any person could think from a human point of view that this is good. From a money point of view, yeah, sure, awesome. And I don't. That's why I just kind of have, I think, negative feelings towards any like algorithm talk or people who design the algorithm. I just really,
Yeah, like the kind of the corporate money company side of it is dark.
yeah,
It definitely is. Yeah, I agree with you.
well tanned. Um, I also think that like the community we're a part of, again, what do we call it? Whimsical fucks. Um, we're generally not negative people, but I see that, and it's not about, it's like the other way in this community. It's more like sometimes like toxically positive.
Yeah.
And I feel like social media, either it's so polarizing, you either just see jerks all the time, or you see people who are jerkish in their toxic positivity. Oh, my mom just died. Oh, well, at least she's not in pain anymore. Okay, thanks for that. I didn't think of that 5 seconds after it happened. I said mom, I meant dad. Sorry, mom.
I thought you were just giving an example, but yes, okay.
I just feel there's all of these things that it's so new, and I don't think we've fully seen the effects yet of like how it affects us as people. But I think that really is one of it. Like, I have said some really dickish things on the internet that I would never do in person, and I think it really gave me that ability. And I know we're talking about art and social media, but it's also about the critique you get on art, right? Like, oh, this is derivative. Derivative of what? Like, what are you talking about? Or please promote this on art, blah, blah, blah. You know what, dude? I could have done without it. And I feel it's so much easier for those people to do that, whether they're bots, I don't know.
Yeah, they are bots. Those ones are bots. Yeah.
But it's just like somebody created that bot, yeah, with the idea in mind that some hopeful artist is going to put it and somebody's going to comment about that. And I find those comments so I have no word for it, just an outward sigh.
Yeah, they affect you.
Yeah, I feel like as I'm talking, and I can feel my shoulders like tensing up. So I need to just breathe a little bit. Let me just
an editor's note. Tamara just switched off her microphone, did a really big sigh, and then switched on her microphone again. So let's talk a little bit about can you have a healthy relationship with social media? Because it's so obvious that with this pressure, with the kind of like the dark side of the corporate side, it's so easy, and the addiction thing, it's so easy to have an unhealthy relationship with social media. I don't think that we have to list all the ways in which social media can be unhealthy, because I think people are very aware. So what about having a more healthy relationship with social media? How can we cultivate that? Does it exist?
My 7-year-old inside me is like, I don't know, you tell me. Um,
I mean, I
but
will. You know that I always have opinions about everything, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to hear what you've got to say.
between you and I, because we're the only two people in this room, I think you definitely most probably have the healthier relationship, because as much as I bulk against it or I don't do things, sometimes it's more an act of rebellion than it is an act of this
Choice.
is who I am. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So when it comes to that, I don't think I have the healthier relationship out of the two of us with social media. However, things that have helped me be healthier than what I used to be, and I think I've told you this before, I was so convinced that all the people following me on Instagram were like totally invested in me and I should be totally invested in them. I had an Excel spreadsheet of every single user and I would make sure that I would interact. And I had a small, and I was like 300 and something people. I would interact with 30 a day at these times because I needed those people to know that I appreciated them. Meanwhile, they didn't even, not all of them, but I would say a good 70% don't care. Um, and that's just what it is, yeah? So now I don't do that. But what helped me to be slightly healthier is I kind of removed the pressure of metrics, especially with YouTube, which is something I enjoyed. So instead of saying, oh, I need to have, I don't know, 1,000 views, hasn't happened. I just say, I need to have maybe 10 views, and I would like to have one comment that's just actually like authentic in terms of, hey, Tamara, this made sense. Not just, hey, Tam, from my brother, you're the best. I love you. Hearts and kisses. So that's kind of my thing. I have a new metric.
You've got your own metric for meaning.
Or yeah. And for Instagram posts, I don't have any metric whatsoever. If people message me, I think that's a little bit more meaningful. Or if somebody puts like a proper comment in the actual post. Otherwise, whether they like it or not, or put some yellow hearts in it or not, it's not that impactful or meaningful to me. I appreciate it.
So you're basically saying define your own metrics for satisfaction or success, in terms of what you get out of your social media. So rather than letting the success be determined by how many likes you got or like how widely it got shown, which is pretty much all out of your hands, define what it is that you want out of it. And I think that's, that's really nice, because that way it really puts at the forefront more meaningful connection. Like you said, it's like, I get so bamboozled sometimes by what I want in terms of metrics, and then when you don't get that, it can be disappointing. But really, when I think about it, at the end of the day, having someone comment on my vlog saying, oh my God, you talked exactly what's inside my head, but what I feel like I can't articulate. I'm like, wow, that is such an honor. That's such a meaningful comment to have been able to touch someone like that. So it's like, that is where the meaning is. But it's still very difficult to navigate, because obviously we know that. We know as people what is meaningful and what is important. And we know that metrics, as in like thousands of likes and whatever, we know that that's not important. But still, the little kids in us, the little unloved kid or whatever, still wants to feel accepted. And maybe when we get to X amount of likes or X amount of followers, that's when we will feel accepted or loved or okay. And it's very difficult to separate the more adult thinking and the little kid thinking.
Okay, that's us. I I don't know, and this is where I get worried when I talk to you, because I don't know if I've not explored it deeply enough, or if I'm just like a unaware person, or if I just lead such a shallow life. But like for me, I think it's more about reputation. When I get likes and stuff like that, I don't think it is validation, of course, but for me, it's more like I have some reputation in the world, in the art world or something. For 5,000 people, not something I ever got. Like my like my lesson, okay, that gives me like, it builds reputation. It's not so much validation in my teaching, although it is a part of it. And when you say that it's like acceptance as a kid or whatever, maybe it comes from feeling accepted as a kid. And I'm not saying I didn't have any difficult experiences. I'm just trying to like mull this over. Maybe if I post something about body, like physical.
No, but like obviously our experiences, I guess, in life and where we come from, and like the wounds of childhood or whatever, or of life that we're trying to heal, are very different. So like, but for me, it's very clear that for me there's a need for validation and for love, and for a long time I wasn't aware of that, and then there's this big discrepancy between like, oh gosh, like where you correlate your self-worth with how well you're posted on social media, or how big your audience is, or how popular or whatever. And that's not going to be the same for everyone, because some people do not have that hang up, and it's lucky. If you don't have that hang up, that's really lucky for you. It's like you need to explore what it's like for you, rather than if I suggest something and you're like, oh yeah, it's like that for me, then that might strike a chord. But maybe you're like, no, it's not like that for me. And then
Yeah,
it's not that you haven't thought deeply enough. It's just that that's not a trigger for
yeah,
you.
but it might be. So
It
like,
might be.
don't like just like you spend a lot of time. I was gonna say you spend a lot of time in therapy, but you have
I
therapy.
do spend a lot of time in therapy. Yes.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's not like a backhanded thing that I'm saying. And you spend a lot of time thinking, and I think you've had more practice at it than I have. That is why I don't like to just take something you've said and say, oh, it's not like that for me. I like to think about why it's not like that for me. So just always, that's what I would say. Don't just...
When I observe how you are with social media, and a funny thing is like, the time it takes you sometimes to read or reply to my Instagram DMs, that's going to be my example, that shows me that you do not check that app as obsessively as I do. You do not. You're not like, oh, it's a message. Oh, it's a message. Oh, validation. Oh, somebody wants me. So...
Well, again, this horrible and wonderful corporate career I had, just emails, all notifications on my phone. I cannot stand it. I feel like it's just I feel like they are stealers. That's not the word, thieves. They are thieves of my time. That's how I feel. And because I feel that way, I switch everything off. Sometimes I lose my phone for a few days because the sound is also off. So, well, it hasn't happened in a long time, but whatever. And I I do feel guilty, and I'm going to be honest about that, because I do feel like a pressure to be consistent, especially if I want to build something and I want to build a business. But I'm still not 100% convinced that I need to be consistent and have an audience on social media to be successful. And the theme of all of our podcasts seems to be like define stuff for yourself. I haven't got to that point yet where I have defined it. And I think that's why I'm still comfortable not being there and being there. But a good example is today I feel slightly guilty about social media because some lesson is coming out that I'm a part of. And I feel like I've done bad by the teacher who's allowed me to be on her course because I don't have a big social media following and I haven't been promoting. And now I'm going to be like, hey, I'm doing a painting here, come by. And people are going to be like, oh my God, this person. And I mean, that's not what I'm going to be saying, but that's my thoughts. So I have a little bit of that today, but I know tomorrow I'm going to be like, oh, there's like 5 DMs. I'll just read it later. And by the way, if I don't answer your DM like quickly, it means I'm very comfortable with you as a person. My best relationships are that way.
That's excellent. I love hearing that. And yeah, so what you've said is my policy as well, and I'd say that like that's my biggest tip for healthy social media. And sometimes I don't even realize that this is something special to do, because I always think like, oh, everybody's like this. But no, I have no notifications from any social media platform on my phone. If somebody comments on my Facebook, if somebody comments or likes on my Instagram, I do not know it until I physically choose to open the app. And I still feel like I use social media too much. I still feel like it pushes my validation buttons, but I do realize that I have this small kind of self-care barrier that I have put in, and that barrier is at the start rather than somewhere in the middle. And I feel like that really helps me, because it's like I choose, insofar as any of us choose anything, I choose when I open that app.
Okay, which is I think just what all of us want, right? We want to have a choice. I think it's a part of the human condition. As soon as you take away our choice, that's when we're gonna get angry.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say, because I often feel in these podcasts that I come across as quite judgy, and I am a judge. I'm a big judge, but I am also a person that's incredibly excited about every little thing. And sometimes I think it's because I'm new in this world, but that's not the truth. I've just been an incredibly excited kid, and it's not going to change. When I got 100 followers, we were excited in this house and we were excited in South Africa. And it will always be like that for every 100 or 50 that I reach. I know my A team, we're all going to be excited and screaming because it's exciting. I got 100 subscribers on YouTube. I'm sending the very nice person who was my 100th subscriber a pack of stickers. I probably don't need to, but I am so damn excited. And if that's you, that's also okay, right? It's okay to be excited if you put your notifications on to see who your 100th subscriber is.
Oh, yeah. It's more like...
But it's more about your daily usage, you know? John said, oh, my.
Yeah, and actually I think that's an important point that you're making, which is that just because I'm saying here, like, you know, make choices and try and define the metrics that are important to you, you can't separate that from these other metrics that are also important, because we're just humans. We're just, you know, we're influenced by things, and getting your 100th or 1,000th or 10,000th subscriber is a big deal. And I think that, like, you can definitely celebrate that. It's just about not letting it run your life.
Yes.
Because then also, if that is all there is, if getting the next subscriber and the next subscriber is all there is, then when you do get to 10,000 or whatever significant number, it will feel hollow. Whereas if that's not all there is, and there's also all the other things, then when you do get there, it's going to be a really amazing reward or cherry on the cupcake or whatever, you know, I think.
I just wanted to shout when you were busy there, stop follow for follow. Has anybody ever messaged you follow for follow?
For a while, it was a trend for a while, but I don't get them right now anymore. But like, yeah, I
didn't know what the person was talking about. And I was like, follow for follow. And then the person messaged me and they said, I'm following you. Why aren't you following me? And I was like, listen, little Rick, you look like you're 11 years old and you're posting pictures of, like, I don't know what it was. I don't even know. Like, what do you want?
That's one of the things that I did a while back, maybe a few years back, that really changed how I felt about social media as well. I decided to stop following people because I felt like I had to, and I now only exclusively follow people that I want to follow. That might be for different reasons. Like, it's not a specifically like rigid rule of like I only follow people whose art I like. You know, sometimes I follow people because I like them as a person and I want to hear what they've got to say, even though their art isn't necessarily the type of art that I connect with. Sometimes I follow people because I met them in real life, and I want to support them and I just want to see what they're up to. Again, their art might not be the art that I normally look at. And then there are other people who I follow specifically because I love their art. But it's up to me, rather than that feeling of like, oh, I must follow you because you followed me. Yeah. I must follow you to retain you as a follower. I must follow you because I need to validate you somehow. Kind of, I've cut all of that away. And it was difficult at first. It made me feel guilty, you know, when especially when you've got really loyal followers and they follow you and you're like, well, I don't really want to, I appreciate you, but I don't really want to follow you because I'm curating my own feed for my own inspiration. Yeah, so there's a bit of guilt involved, but I think that the in the end, like the energy balance is much better because, you know, you follow the people that you definitely want to see show up in your feed, and they follow the people that they definitely want to see show up in their feed. And it doesn't have to always be like a like for like exchange, because the kind of the, you know, it's more like a pay it forward kind of thing, so that we can all be free to curate our feed in such a way that it makes us happy and it serves us.
Yeah, and I don't know if we should make that a sound bites, or like maybe just definitely in the key takeaways, because that's just a sound and succinct way to put it. And you helped me with that understanding that I didn't have to feel guilty and follow the people who are following me, because to me it's just guilt. And then also, do you really think you're that important? Do you really think that following somebody else is going to make their day?
It did for me when certain people followed me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Like when Jane Davenport started following me, I was like, oh my God, I've made it. I need to lie down. Yes.
Tamara Laporte. Wait. I know she follows you, so don't like steal my thunder here. But
Yeah, but she follows me because she's my friend.
well, she started following me, and I looked at this and I thought, oh shit, her account's been hacked. So I sent her a message and I said, somebody's it. And she was like, no, silly, I just really like your art. And I was like, what? And I obviously screenshotted it, if that's the word. But
Yeah.
that's different. But what I'm saying is, if Jenny from, I don't know, Minnesota followed me, I don't think she really cares that Tamara. I really hope there's no Jenny on my Instagram from Minnesota.
Jenny from apologies, Jenny from Minnesota.
What I was pondering, and I don't have the answer yet.
Yeah.
The 15 minutes, you know how I spent the 15 minutes before this call. And it came into my mind, why is it that when we're creative, that there's like a pressure, I feel almost, to share yourself with your audience? But I don't think anybody else really has this.
Oh, this is really interesting. But like, I was listening to, I don't remember, maybe a podcast recently. Might have been Art Juice. Alice Sheridan and the other person's name escapes me, Louise Fletcher. They were talking about like, oh, you know, sharing your life, and like one of them was like, oh no, I don't remember if it was them, but it's not actually important for what I'm about to say. Like someone said like, okay, no, I don't feel the need to share my life, and like that's just not, you know, that's not important. And I was like, oh, what an interesting attitude. And I have to say that I do share my life. I share my life very freely on social media in my vlogs, but that is because it serves me. Yes. I don't do that because I feel like I have to. I don't do that because I feel like I must show who Iris is behind the scenes. It's just, to me, it's a really integral part of my creative process. And it's like, sometimes I feel apologetic. Like, I feel like, gosh, I'm like showing all these other things that have nothing to do with my art, and like, who's there for that? But it's like, it's what I want to do. It's what I need to do in order to make it work for me. And it's kind of like what you said about like, you post on your social media when you can, rather than when it's, you know, when it's the right time. And I think that is, you know, you can find so much advice out there of how you should do things. You should do this much and post at this time and share this type of content, but not this type of content, and a little bit of that type of content, but not too much. And it's like, you will go crazy trying to follow all the rules and trying to do it right, when really the only person who, you know, can say what is right is you yourself. Yes. Because it's governed by how you feel. And so to me it feels right to share my life, and to other people it doesn't, and that should be okay.
Yeah, first of all, I love watching you ride your bicycle or put your hat and
fold my laundry.
I don't agree with the way you fold your laundry.
Oh my god.
But I watch it.
Uh-huh.
The best method is to ball everything up and shove it in the cupboard.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But with me, I also share because I think that I need that connection. I do crave connection in terms of other people. But somebody messaged me and they said, I don't have the courage, or the internet is a really scary place. And I thought, I wish it wasn't that way for this person, but also you don't have to share in order to be successful. But I do feel that there is some of this kind of like teachers in our area as well, that there is some kind of pressure to share yourself with the audience or with your students in order to be, I don't know, maybe it's just my own thing that I made up. And that's why I thought about it while I was making other things 15 minutes before this podcast. I was having a poo.
Dear listeners, that's what Tamara was doing. You've just like made my mind gone blank.
I'm sorry. I was saying about like pressure. I'm sorry. Because I kept on saying 15 minutes before, and I know there must be somebody that's saying, what happened 15 minutes before?
I thought we were just gonna like leave it a mystery, and like that was gonna be the mystery of this podcast.
It was about pressure to somehow share yourself with your students.
Oh yeah, I think everybody is themselves in whatever they do. And, you know, like some people want to share more, but, you know, like whatever, when somebody wants to learn from you, they want to learn from you. And it doesn't matter whether you share how you fold your laundry. you still have your own way of teaching art, and if somebody wants to learn from you, they'll want to learn from you in however way that you show up, because you can't separate yourself. You're not a robot. You can't separate yourself and who you are from what you do, really. So that it's always going to have that flavor of you-ness in whatever it is that you do, in the same way that everybody can draw an apple and everybody's going to draw it differently. So I think that we always have a stamp of our own personality on however we teach or what we do or what we put out in the world, and however much extra of our personality we want to put in there in terms of like what we share about our lives. I don't think it's actually that important.
That's a very good insight. But just, I want to say thank you. That's a very good insight.
You're welcome. What you were saying and the person who messaged you made me also think about, can we just touch upon negativity on social media, as in, like, I don't just mean like general negativity, because like that's easy to find. I mean that specific fear of negative comments. I mean, have you had any bad comments that really made you that really shook you, or that really made you feel upset, like, and how do you deal with that?
I don't know if I'm too small to have experienced that. I don't know. The larger your audience, maybe the more likely you are to come up against negative things. But I have had negative comments, but not from strangers, if that makes sense. More about people who want to police the way I talk and the way I look and what I do in social media. And how I've dealt with it is the same way I deal with lots of things. And I think I'm just in this phase of I do what I want when I like. And it's just such a petulant way to be, but I love it. And it's just like, I have a big thing. I'm worried on social media, and I'm not putting it out there so it happens. I'm just saying that somebody's going to come at me for the color of my skin, the way that I talk, and the way that I look. Those are my three things that I'm like quite prepared for. But the color of my skin is never going to change, yo. The way I talk is just going to progressively get worse. When I go back to South Africa, it's probably going to hit new lows. And I am always going to look this way. In fact, I might also get worse with age, or better, who knows? It depends what you like. And when I realized those things, I'm like, it's never going to change. I didn't want to make videos because I was so scared also that like people were going to see that I'm fat and they were going to be like, oh God, another fat, lazy person on the internet. And I'm like, but I am always going to be fat and lazy. So like, I'm just going to do it. I don't care. I'm not lazy, by the way. I run 5 kilometers a day.
Oh my God.
So if that's a joke. If Iris's laughter doesn't like set you off and give you a hint that that's a lie, then I don't know what to say. So that's kind of how I've dealt with it. But I do want to say is I reached out to another artist about this course that I'm teaching on next year that's going to expose me to a lot of people. And she does similar art to what I do. Am I allowed to say her name? Holly McLaughlin? McLaughlin? I think that's how you say it. And her art's slightly weird and dark sometimes, although I didn't see it that way. I just saw it as weird and cool. And she expressed some comments and feedback that she got. She was very, very good about the whole thing. But I thought, geez, am I ready for this? And then I was like, yes, I am, because this is what I want to do. And if you're going to come at me with that energy, whether it's well-meaning or not, I'm either going to receive it or I'm just not going to care. So that's kind of my policy right now. But with you, I think I have seen you have a negative comment, which was not about your art. It was about the cry cuts.
Oh yeah, those
Crickets,
I didn't read all of those comments because that was like one of my very few viral videos, and it was like not even about my art, and I got so many comments that I stopped reading them, especially because quite a few of them were negative.
It wasn't like it wasn't. I'm not saying, oh, there were so many negative comments about you, Iris. What I'm saying is I was surprised, because to me this wasn't a negative video at all. It was just it was a factual video.
I know people see what they see what they want to see, and they will react to what they want to react. I've noticed with negative comments is that they are often character assassinations, which should count for nothing, because like, why are you watching my art instruction video and then feel the need to assassinate my character? That has nothing, it just hasn't really got anything to do with me.
Well, my question is just a bounce back of yours. Like, how do you deal with negativity on social media, or what forms does it take for you?
There's a couple of different ways that people can be negative, and I feel like some of them stick and some of them don't stick. So there are certain ways that people can be critical or negative that don't really find a home in my heart, because I can just laugh it off, or I can just shrug my shoulders, or I can just very clearly see that's not about me, that's about them. There are other things that people can say that really find a home in my heart because they echo something that I am afraid is true, or something that I think too, or something that, mirrors something that I have heard when I was little, that kind of stuff. So those things are much more painful. And they're much harder to shrug off. And I think those are the types of comments that I was afraid of back even before I started making videos. They were the types of comments that would have held me back from ever doing anything in the first place. And they were not actual comments, they were just fears inside my head of what people might say. For example, I have big fears around people accusing me that I'm fake, because to me it's being authentic is so important to me. But obviously I have like a deep-seated fear of like, what am I actually authentic, or am I just like towing the line, trying to do things a certain way, being a bit fake, like capitalizing on my authenticity as if it's a sellable thing, like those are some of my fears. So if somebody came in and said, oh, you're so fake, I think that might knock me out a little bit. I don't know, it hasn't happened yet, so it's like I haven't had to deal with it. I have to say that the fear of negative comments is way bigger than the amount of negative comments that you will ever receive. I do receive a very small amount of negative comments, but they are like minuscule compared to all the comments that I get of people who appreciate my content, who thank me for my content, who say that they relate to it, who feel heard and who feel seen. And that kind of counts for a lot more. But that's not to say that when you do get the inevitable one nasty comment, it does hurt, and it hurts disproportionately. You can get 100 nice ones and one nasty one, and it's the nasty one that you'll be thinking about. And I'm lucky that I have therapy, and I will just say to my therapist, oh my god, I was so riled by this comment that I got, tell me why I was so riled. I don't want to be riled, but tell me why I was so riled. And he'll have a really good insight about what button it pressed in me, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, it's because the comment was blah blah blah, and that just gives me more of an insight into myself, and it makes it less about like, oh my god, someone was nasty to me on the internet. And I have to say, one of the comments that stands out, or the type of comment that stands out and that does rile me, I guess, the comment that I get most often, even though it's not often at all, is like people criticizing me for swearing. And this is a comment that I haven't had personally, but that I see other people getting, like where they're like, why did you have to bring politics into this? I was just here for your art, not for your politics or your opinion. I'm like, really? You just really don't get it, do you? And in a way, I can kind of let it go, because I kind of feel like, okay, well, that person just really doesn't get it. That person is here watching my videos somehow. I mean, not the political thing, because it's one of the things I find scary to share. I don't tend to share my political opinions. But the thing about the swearing, I do occasionally swear. And if that person is there to watch my video but isn't there for the person that I am, then they've missed the point of me and my videos, really. Yeah, so that in a way that helps me to then just move on and keep doing what I'm doing. But it does influence me. It does, makes my little heart hurt when somebody doesn't like me, because really I just want to be liked by everyone. And it's a very hard thing to realize that not everybody likes you.
Well, I would like you more if you swore more. So how's that little, will that influence you to swear more?
I mean, I think at this point in time I probably swear as much as I want to swear. So that's, yeah.
And this is a segue. You said so many good things, but there was a person here in my house, that is weird AF and also vulgar and all of these things. And I was swearing because I was so upset that the person was here as well. And I just didn't have time to like be a polite Polish wife. No offense to all the Polish people that are here. And he said to me, we're not vulgar like you. And I said, oh, do you find me vulgar? and I was absolutely interested in this thing. And he was like, yes, this is vulgar. And I was like, okay. And then I just carried on with the thing. And I just thought, how dare you? You come into my space, you're telling me bullshit. And because I dared to say dickhead, you couldn't like live with this thing that a woman would say these things.
Tone policing.
Yeah.
Oh, tone policing goes on a lot, doesn't it, online? And I guess I'm just not there for it. So
well,
yeah.
If you want to, like, I advocate for swearing. I also advocate for fart sounds in your videos. I also advocate for talking about any matters, especially fecal matters. Mm-hmm. And I understand what you're saying about this fear, because as you were talking about your fears, the one fear I do have is that people find me irritating. And it comes from family, not from my unit, my core unit, but the extended unit that became core. And that the problems I have now on social media, the fears that I have, were actually realized very quickly. I clicked my fingers last year when all the things that I did fear to come from this family unit came at once, about me being unlovable, angry, bitter, all of these wonderful, beautiful things that you said to me. You know who you are. And I love that happened, because I had fear of it. And as soon as it happened, I was like, nah. And I know not everybody's that way, but I wish sometimes that most of our fears would come true, and you would realize that actually it's not such a big thing, or that you can work through it, or what actually hurts you. Yeah.
The anticipation of the nasty comment is almost worse than the comment itself.
That's why I wanted to encourage our listeners, like when you said you fear that somebody would say that you're fake, just go and say, dear Iris, you're fake. But don't do that.
Oh, that's so nasty. Tamara, you've hurt me.
When you said you were fake, I was like, what are you talking about? You are so far the person that I speak to on a one-to-one basis, and the person that I see on the internet. Of course, some things are different. I mean, you're not folding laundry now, but Iris is Iris, man. I mean, surely you're a little bit different with your kids, but I mean, the person that I am online is the person generally that I am in person, because it takes so much of energy to be fake and to control yourself and to censor.
Being yourself is a lot less energy requiring.
I'm so animated while I'm talking about this. It's like I'm fighting with someone.
Yeah, you're doing karate, like, to emphasize your point.
I do want to say thank you, though, for sharing your fears so openly and honestly, because it just makes me think about mine. And also, it's so nice to hear from somebody that I respect, like what they fear and what they don't, or how they deal with it. And I think a lot of people do respect you as well. They don't respect me. It's fine.
Of course they do.
But it's nice to hear that. And the other thing I wanted to say, because I'm going to forget it, and it's very important that I say it, is that reading the comments on your comment box or whatever, that is one of the things that inspired me to want to start like vlogging, because people are really there for the difference that you make or the things that you say. And I love it. And I want people to talk about me in a similar fashion. Because,
well, that's what your vlogs do for me. Like, I love your vlogs. Like, oh my God, they are one of the few vlogs that make me laugh out loud multiple times in one vlog. And that's like, I appreciate that a lot. That's amazing.
Thank you. I'm blushing.
That about wraps it up, because, like, oh my God, I thought this was going to be a short episode, and lo and behold, this was like a meaty episode in which we talked a lot about our feelings around social media. So interesting.
If you have listened to this podcast, or is it too early to do an outro?
No, you can do an outro. Cue the outro.
If you have listened all the way to the end of this podcast, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, comment, share it on social media, share it again, put it on YouTube. What else is there, Iris? MySpace, Facebook. Do all the things. Make a TikTok about our podcast with our podcast in the TikTok. We are extremely grateful for your time. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the key takeaways.
Buckle up for your key takeaways, because there are a few. Number 1. There's a difference between the promise of social media, or a nostalgic view of it, and the reality of social media as it is today. Number 2. Certain platforms offer more longevity than others. TikTok and Instagram Reels are much more short-lived than videos on YouTube. Number 3. Ask yourself how you interact with social media. What interactions do you remember and what interactions are meaningful to you? Number 4. Reshare your creations. Don't think your creations are only valuable when they're new. Number 5. Post at the time you can, rather than waiting for the perfect moment and then never doing it. Number 6. If you're not paying for something, then you are the product. Number 7. Social media platforms want to keep you there for as long as possible. Some content is much more easily consumed than what you are on the platform for to see. We can have a healthier relationship with social media if we are more aware of what we are there for and what we want out of it. Number 8. Rather than taking the social media metrics such as likes or followers as the yardstick, define for yourself what satisfaction or success on social media looks like. Number 9. Don't correlate your self-worth or the value of your art to how well you're doing on social media. Number 10. To prevent social media stealing your time, turn off all notifications. Yes, you are allowed to do this. Number 11. Curate your feed. You are allowed to only follow those that you want. You are not obligated to follow someone back. Number 12. The amount of advice on what and how you should and shouldn't share on social media is overwhelming and contradictory. At the end of the day, you are the only person who can decide what is right for you based on how you feel. Number 13. Sometimes the fear of criticism or negative comments is much worse and more influential than when it actually happens. The criticism we are most scared of is usually that which confirms our worst fears about ourselves or something that mirrors an old childhood wound. Thank you so much for being here and listening to episode 5. We hope that you had some interesting thoughts and insights about social media. If you found this episode interesting, please let us know what you thought. You can find us on social media. We hope you will join us next time for episode 6, called No Offense. Have a great week, and you will hear from us soon.